So after covering Final Fantasy XVI for nearly a year, I finally get the chance to play it with the demo, and I am completely blown away and amazed at what I experienced. From the very opening of the demo, they grab you by the throat and they do not let go. It really truly is a roller coaster ride, like Yoshi P said, and we get that battle between Phoenix and Ifrit to open the game. We get a brief bit of control over Phoenix to kind of play as an icon, and then they flash forward and we're older Clive, and there's this huge war breaking out. And this war scene is chilling because people are dying left and right, but they also have the prelude theme from the Final Fantasy series playing in the background. So it's so beautifully scored and directed, and it's very dark, but it perfectly sets the tone of what this game is going to be going forward. So it's a really incredible opening that just grabs you and draws you in, and you can't help but want to see where it goes. Now, next up are the graphics. The visual fidelity in this game is astounding. It's one thing to watch trailers and look at screenshots of varying resolutions and bitrate, and it's another to booting the game up and seeing it run in real time on your TV. The game is deceptively good looking, and it looks 10 times better than anything you see in the trailers. The graphics, the particle effects, the lighting, the animations, the character models, the armor sets, all of it looks ridiculously good. The icons in particular, Phoenix and Ifrit, because they're the icons of fire, have a ton of particle effects going on. And Phoenix in particular has this illumination on its body that's just radiating energy, and the changes in color from blue and yellow and orange flames to bits of green on the tail are all deceptively beautiful. It really looks better than I thought it was going to look. So that's something that really blew me away. Combat is incredibly fun. It does take a second or two to really get your bearings and to really get the rhythm down of combat, because while you can just run in and press square if you want, you're rewarded for actually timing your attacks between square and triangle, which are melee and magic attacks respectively. So you can chain those attacks. You can do square and triangle, and you're doing more damage when you do that, and you build up your foe's stagger meter much faster. And trying to nail that rhythm between square and triangle is a little bit tricky, but once you nail it, it feels incredible. And speaking of feeling incredible, the two moves that were the most fun to use were the Phoenix Shift, which is a lunge forward, which sets up a lot of great combo opportunities, and also the Evasion, which is locked to R1. And the evasion in this game is incredible. I'm a sucker for a good parry or dodge system in a game, and this is no different. Watching your opponent get ready to attack you and then you perfectly time that dodge to land a perfect evasion, there's nothing like it. The feeling of doing that 2-3 times in a row, Phoenix shifting forward to start a combo attack, it feels really rewarding. And the perfect dodge in this game reminds me so much of like the perfect dodges in God of War, in Ghost of Tsushima, in Marvel's Spider-Man on PS4. And the battle system itself, while you're limited at the start, is something that really feels like it can open up like crazy later in the game. And just analyzing my opponents, from the regular enemies to the bosses, figuring out how far their attacks go, how fast they are, so I can then perform the proper dodge at the right time, is super addictive, and it's probably my favorite aspect of combat so far. They do have the timely accessories in the demo, and I did mess around with them. While it is nice to have the game tell you, hey, you're about to be attacked, you might want to dodge, I actually found that I had more fun not using them. Again, analyzing my opponent and watching for their different phases of attacks and their attack patterns felt more rewarding in the long run, learning that stuff and dodging on my own instead of using those accessories. But they're there for a reason, and they're there to help people who are new to action games who want to be able to play this game and not be super overwhelmed. So you can't really get mad at that. Once you beat the demo, you do unlock a special demo that you can play over and over again, and this version has a super powerful version of Clive that is higher level. He's got more combo attacks, and he's got access to Phoenix, Garuda, and Titan icon abilities. And again, much like normal combat, learning to cycle through those different attacks and figuring out when it's best to use one over the other, or how to chain them together once you've staggered an opponent, can be tricky at first, but once you get it down, it feels really good. Titan, for example. I didn't realize you had to hold on to R2 and square when you were doing Titan's specific attack in order to do big damage. I was letting go way too early. I had to pay attention to that meter at the bottom of the screen, and when I landed it and used it as a finisher on an enemy, it felt so cool and rewarding to do so. You do get 2 bosses in the demo. You get a more bowl fight, which was a ton of fun. I think I only got hit once in my entire fight with that guy, but learning its patterns and dodging bad breath and knowing when to push forward and attack and when to back up and be defensive was very rewarding. And then towards the end, there's a Dragoon boss battle, which is super varied in the attacks that the Dragoon can do and the different phase shifts from starting off doing a single jump to suddenly they're doing double jumps, and you have to time your evasions just right. And figuring out when to attack, there's a lot of strategy involved in this game's combat, and that's what I love. Story-wise, they do a fantastic job of establishing the relationship and bond between Joshua and Clive. You immediately, right off the bat, understand how much these 2 characters really love and care for one another and how far they're willing to go for each other. Joshua in particular has all of this power and responsibility thrusted onto him as a child, and there are times where he doesn't feel important. All they really care about to him is the fact that he's a dominant and not who he is as a person. And he sees how his brother is treated from the other guardsmen, the Shield, and how they love him and they admire his ability to fight and be a great warrior. And on the flip side of that, Clive, just wants to protect his brother. He's also been passed up by these Phoenix powers, and he kind of feels left out because of that, and he gets treated differently from his family members and some people around him, in particular his mother. So that's something that he also is struggling with. And the mother in particular, without getting into specifics, is a straight biatch. The way that she treats Clive is horrible. She hates him. She sees him as a failure, and at one point in time she says he's not even worthy of living in the same house as her. She only cares about Joshua, and there's more to it, but I don't want to spoil anything. But the characters are very well written. They all have layers to them, and not one single character so far, even side characters, have been one note. Everyone has some sort of depth to them, which I really appreciate. And the music, of course, is incredible. From scoring your fights to regular fights to boss battles, they give you that extra push to move forward. And when you pull off a cool move in battle and that music is playing in the background, just kind of cheering you on, it's incredible. And there's also some tracks in the game that sound inspired from previous Final Fantasies. There's a cutscene in particular between Clive and Jill as teenagers where they're talking, and the music in the background reminds me of something I would have heard in Final Fantasy VIII. So Soken has outdone himself. The music is astounding. Every theme that's played has been very memorable and high quality, and even just like the marsh music as you're running around, it sounds very unique and fresh but familiar as well. And those are pretty much my quick first impressions of this demo. It's really incredible. I had a ton of fun, and I really cannot wait for the full game. And I really want to see where this story goes and how much more the combat can be really opened up. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below if you played the demo. I'd love to hear what you guys think of it, the good and the bad. Let me know what you guys think. I am Curious Corduroy. I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to always be excellent to one another.